All right, here's a walkthrough of my new financial planner. I made this using Claude Code and now pair programming. That's not even what that is. I'm using Claude Code and Codex CLI, both with the maxed out accounts, subscriptions. I think they're $200 each. And I'm finding currently Codex to be significantly better. It's at least way faster. Claude Code I still like for a number of different features, especially running apps in the background, but Codex CLI is quite nice, and it's nice to be able to move quickly again. Claude Code for the last month has been a disaster in that regard. So I just keep two windows here, one on top, two iTerm windows, one on top for Claude Code and one on the bottom for Codex CLI, and that works great for me. And I just switch back and forth with them pretty consistently. What's the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to maximize my investment portfolio. This is not my investment portfolio. This $9.2 million figure is made up, as are all these accounts. I do have 7 accounts in E-Trade, but they have different names and different values, and some of them have cash values in here. For my demo purposes, it's not showing any cash values. I just have a little demo button down here that toggles. Oh, it's a means for me to obscure my actual positions. In any case, what we have here is a system that pulls in using the E-Trade API all of my account data. It has the current account value, the cash that's included in that account, and the cost basis for any positions in that account. It also pulls in the positions themselves. And then what I'm doing is aggregating those positions across these 7 accounts into a single table showing all the positions. This is again randomized down here. And that's nice because I like to see all the positions. I don't like to have to dive into an account and then look at a different account to see the same position, but a different. Anyway, this is nice for me. I'm interested in the international split versus US holdings, and obviously also the split between cash, bonds, and equities. I also have a philosophy on how I like to manage my money that I've spelled out here. I can modify this right now. It's using this YouTuber, Ben Felix, who I really like. You should check him out. But I've basically synthesized, starting with his last 20 videos. I transcribed them, put them into GPT, had that develop a philosophy document, and then adjusted it on my own to match my needs. And for my purposes, I'm doing a 90-10 split and keeping 6 months of living expenses, how I want to do my asset allocations, all this stuff. Again, none of this is actual data. There's some data hard-coded into this prompt in the real version that I use. But the nice thing is I can put my investment philosophy here and then not think about it so much. I've got a core prompt that drives any advice that it gives. It essentially says you're to respond with JSON in this format and use the core philosophy as well as the snapshot. The snapshot takes all of my positions, all of my accounts, the cash balances, the cost basis, and injects that as context along with whatever my user query is in this chat. I can adjust the parameters of GPT-5 for speed or cost or deep reasoning for testing and cost saver mode. And then I can drop in a question and it'll spit back a response like this. I really like this because I'm in the process of transitioning from one bank to another. And for a while, until I am able to harvest enough losses to move in a tax efficient way, I'll be having 2 banks essentially. And this will allow me to aggregate all of the data into one place and make coherent decisions as if it was a single unified portfolio. And I'm going to build in some additional checks here that help me handle rebalancing. So I'm not taking any actions through this. This is more of a read-only environment. But it'll be recommending as if it were a financial advisor. On things like rebalancing, one of my big objectives is low fees. And so wherever possible, it may identify areas of high fees and tell me how to get to a lower fee situation. And just looking at the overall mix and helping me adjust my portfolio on that basis. I built this over maybe 2 or 3 days, and it was fairly easy. Had all the normal ups and downs that come along with vibe coding. I'm running this all locally, by the way. This isn't hosted anywhere, just for security purposes, running a local database and keeping everything there. The API access is read-only, so there's no way that I can actually do something stupid to my portfolio. And that's it. This is just an early version of this, but I wanted to show what you can do in a couple days with vibe coding. Right now, I have to say I wouldn't have been able to do this with just Claude Code because Claude Code is so nerfed right now that it just wouldn't have worked. I don't know if I'd have been able to do it only with Codex CLI. There was a lot of back and forth. And obviously you have to be looking at the code. And as always, you need to be really good at things like GitHub and understanding architecture. And you have to be technical enough to do that. If you are not familiar with that stuff yet and you want to get your feet wet, moving from just a ChatGPT starting point to something closer to this, the intermediate place that I recommend is Replit. So use Replit. You won't be able to do quite this level of integration. I mean, maybe you could at this point, but it would probably be pretty tricky and take a lot longer. But I do think Replit is a really great starting point for anybody who's not super familiar with code. So yeah, that's what you can accomplish in a couple days. Let me know what you think and what else I should do to improve this.